Hello, everyone, and welcome to Barca News. It is February 6, 2026, and we now know our opponent for the Copa del Rey semi-final. We're going to be talking about that also. A former Barcelona president has hit back and blasted Real Madrid, and finally, Victor Font has snubbed Deco. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. This is the Barca News Live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but we're also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting a discussion going. So start filling out that chat section with all your comments so we can talk about them in between news segments. Now, for those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you want to skip through the discussion, get straight into the news. Having said all that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kids, Kid Bag, or Fanatics. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of news is comprised of multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity. Started with that, we officially know who will be our opponent in the semifinals of the Copa del Rey. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I got my wish. Because when we were talking about possible opponents, I said I want Atletico de Madrid. And that's exactly what has happened. The draw was today, and Barcelona have drawn Atletico de Madrid for the semifinals, where we're going to play, of course, two legs. The semifinals is two legs. The first leg is going to be February 12th. So next week, it will be at the Wanda Metropolitano, whatever the new... I think they changed their name now of the stadium, but I don't care. But it's going to be away at Atletico Madrid Stadium on February 12th. And then the second leg will be at the Spotify Camp Nou on March 3rd. And, of course, that will determine who will be the finalists. The other semifinal, of course, will be Athletic Club Bilbao against Real Sociedad. Now, I'm very, very happy about this draw for two reasons. The first reason is, well, what I talked about before. Entertainment value, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm a competitive person. This is sports. I want to see the two best teams go at it, and I want to see the best one win. I don't want the easy route. I don't want Barcelona to go against a third, fourth tier club. No, I want Barcelona to go against the best teams. In that way, we can truly test ourselves and see what we're capable of. And if we win, which I think we will, the victory is just that much better when you beat a worthy opponent as opposed to a much, much weaker opponent. So from the entertainment value, from the sportsmanship point of view, I think this is the best possible draw. And here's the kicker. We get to play two legs. So not only is one match a great match against Atletico Madrid, but we're getting two of them. So it's going to be two great matches. Let's not forget the semifinals that we had last year in the Copa del Rey against Atletico Madrid. Two semifinals that were amazing. And well, now we get to have that experience yet once again. So I'm very, very happy from the entertainment point of view. The second reason why I think this is a great draw, I think this draw comes at a very, very important point in the season because it's right before the Champions League knockout stages. Because as we've seen lately, and as I've mentioned a lot during post-match live analysis, I said Barcelona have gotten to the point where they're beating teams by playing at 70, maybe 80%, because they've gotten that much better. But so far, we haven't really faced a strong team that can really challenge us and force us to play at 100%. And well, this is exactly what Atletico Madrid is going to do. Because we're not going to be Atletico Madrid going 70, 80%. Atletico Madrid is going to force us to go 100% and test ourselves against them. Right now, they're doing well. They just made some important signings in the winter transfer market, including Lookman. So this is a great time to have these two matches because we can calibrate. We can see how well we're doing. We can see where we truly are, and we can see what needs to be improved and what needs to stay the same because we're doing it well. And this, again, comes at a great time because this is right before the knockout stages of the Champions League. So this is the time to truly test ourselves against a big team. That way we can calibrate, we can adjust, and be ready for the knockout stages of the European competition. And for those two reasons, I'm very, very glad that we drew Atletico de Madrid. I'm very excited for both legs of the semifinal, that hopefully we will win and make it to the final, and hopefully we'll win the Copa del Rey again. Anyways, before we can talk about Copa del Rey, of course, we do have to talk about tomorrow's match because Barcelona will be playing in La Liga against Mallorca. And of course, today the team trained one last time ahead of tomorrow's match. And we do have some news in regards to the training session because we now know when Pedri will be back. It looks like Pedri could be back for the Levante match on February 22nd, which means that Pedri will miss tomorrow's match against Mallorca, the first leg of the semifinals of the Copa del Rey against Atletico Madrid on February 12th, and finally a La Liga match against Girona on February 16th. So those are the three matches that Pedri will miss, well, from after today, because he's missed matches before, and he will be back on February 22nd against Levante. Now, more updates because, as you know, as I told you yesterday, Rafinha has been excluded from tomorrow's match so he can rest and recover from that muscle overload on his right adductor. Well, lo and behold, today Rafinha did not train with the team either. He hasn't trained with the team that entire week. He's been training on his own. So tomorrow he will be ruled out. I honestly think that's, a great thing. Not because I don't want Rafinha to play. Of course, Rafinha is incredibly important. But we're at a stage, I think, where we can beat Mallorca without Rafinha. So why not rest him, let him recharge, let him refuel so he could be ready for what's to come, which, of course, there's the semifinals of the Copa del Rey and there's the Champions League knockout stages. So we need Coutinho fully rested and fully recovered. And finally, today we saw once again in the training session Juan Fernandez, the academy midfielder, who has been featuring more and more with the first team. It looks like he's going to be the one replacing Dro, now that Dro has made the move to PSG. Anyways, that's all the news for the first segment. Let's do some comments. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Joan Gaspart blasting Real Madrid. All right, let's see what everyone's saying. Barca Mama says, let's go, Mo. Give me all the news. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready with all the news. I'm ready. And Koroma says, hi, Mo. Good morning. May Allah continue to bless you and give you more long life for this great job you are doing for us. My name is Samuel from Sierra Leone. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate your incredibly kind comment. May God also bless you. May God bless all of our Barca News family because you guys are freaking amazing. And may he bless me with better vision where I don't have to wear my glasses to read comment section. Just kidding. You can't have it all. The price is never right, says good morning, guys. I agree with that name, by the way. The price is never right because inflation, ladies and gentlemen, is killing us, is killing everybody. It's freaking, well, they say it's inflation. It's mostly greed, honestly. Part of it is inflation, but the majority of it is just greed. Corporate greed, because God forbid you make something for $1 and sell it for $5. No, I make something for $1. I have to sell it for 1,000 because fuck it, I can, right? Why not? Bad Boy 21 VPS says, glad to see you in your regular schedule program mode. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I'm very glad to be home. I'm very glad to be in my YouTube studio. It's not the same filming on the road, with the laptop, with a tiny camera, holding the little mic in my hand and like, hi guys, how are you? Here, I'm chilling in my chair with my awesome mic, with my amazing camera, with my light. Hello, light. So it's really good to be home. And of course, it's really good to see you guys in the comment section. And Fidas says, you know what time it is? It is Barca News time. Let's go. Aleo Kig, who has the Blaugrana Hearts with a football and is that this? Yeah, right? And is it a plus? Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's go. P4K Chema says, I found out it's true. Dro plays for PSG under 21. He did want more playtime. Well, he is getting them more playtime. And this is what I mean. This is what I said, right, when he left. I I thought he was making a mistake because here's the thing. When you're an academy player and your team has a plan for you, it's best that you stay and follow that plan because your team knows best, right? You're their product. You came up through their academy. They know you. They know what your strengths are. They know what your weaknesses are. They know what you're good at. They know what you need to improve. They know what you can, where you could be if you follow a certain plan. And based on all that knowledge, they have a specific plan that if you follow, you'll make it far. But the moment you move to another team that has paid a transfer fee for you, you're no longer a project for them. You're no longer, oh, we're going to wait on this guy 2, 3. No. Now you have to perform because they paid for you, right? This is kind of like if you're building a car at home, you could take your time, go buy one part, then go buy another part, then put this together, then put that together, maybe add the engine, then the transmission, then start working on the suspension. But if you buy a car, you expect that car to be ready to be driven, right? You expect to hop in the car, turn on the ignition, and the car's going to move. It's not going to be like, oh, I just bought a car, but I still got to build it. That's not how it works, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. But anyways, let's do one more comment, and then we'll move on to the next bit of news. But Blaurana X says, dude, I love our wonder boy Lamine, but his selfishness has gotten us in bad situation against top tier. There will be no mercy. I completely disagree with that. I don't think Lamine has been selfish. If anything, he's been generating like 70% of our chances. I mean, he's constantly setting up his teammates, and it's unfortunate that his teammates have not been able to convert. Otherwise, Lamine would be having 30, 40 assists by now. So I completely disagree with that assessment. I don't think Lamine has been selfish. If anything, it's been the opposite. I mean, how many key passes has he put to players Ferran, how many passes he's put to Ferran so that freaking shark can go and waste them? I mean, I completely disagree with that assessment. But anyways, let's get back to the news. Let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about the former Barcelona president, Joan Gaspart. He was the president in the late 80s, early 2000s. An incredibly terrible president, by the way. He was the worst president up until Bartomeu came and said, hold my beer. I could do a worse job. But anyways, Gaspart, an incredibly terrible, horrible president in the history of Barcelona. And today, he testified in that Negreira case because, of course, the payments to Negreira started during his presidency. Then through Laporta's first presidency, Sandro Rosell, Bartomeu, and that's when they ended, during Bartomeu's era in 2018, because Barcelona paid Negreira's companies between 2001, until 2018, for those referee and reports. So Gaspart was called to testify in court today, not as an accused person because him and Laporta, the statute of limitations have expired on them. So if Barcelona are found guilty, the people who would be charged with this will be Sandro Rosell and Bartomeu because the statute of limitations have not expired on them. So Gaspart testified today, not as an accused, but as someone who was there during the Negreira years. We don't know what he testified yet. I'm sure it will leak because in Spain, everything leaks. But he did, of course, discuss the Negreira case with the reporters outside the courthouse once he was done testifying, and this is what he had to say. I think they are doing, unintentionally, a lot of damage to football. No longer to Barca, to football. Talking about Real Madrid and what they've been doing. It's a lie, and I have repeated the word lie 33 times. Barcelona has never, neither in the time when I was vice president nor president, bought referees under Laporta, Bartomeu, Rosell, and all Barca executives. I have said it with complete clarity until the judge herself has agreed with me and has told me that you had already said it several times, but I wanted to repeat it. This is kind of a little bit of a dumb statement. I said the lie so many times that the judge agreed with me. No, the judge is not agreeing with you. The judge said, she's pretty much telling you, dude, shut the fuck up. We get it. It's a lie. Stop saying the word lie so many times. That's what I get from this. But anyway, Gaspart was never a bright person. That's why he was such a terrible president. And while it looks like, he's still not a bright person. But then Gaspart said, it is false that Barca is accused of having committed an illegality, paying someone to tell the referee to pay the collegiate to win my Barcelona is a lie. And when it's a lie, it's a lie. Barca has never, since Mr. Gamper founded it, until I die, because after that I will not be there and I will not be able to say committed an illegality. again, another stupid statement is like, bro, were you alive when Joan Gaspart founded the club? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Just talk about when you were president, vice president. Just say, hey, when I was there, nothing wrong happened. And buying a referee to favor you is illegal. I don't understand why they want people to believe that. Now, I don't want to focus on the rest of the statement because most of the statement because, again, it's Gaspart. He's not a bright person. He always says dumb shit. I do want to focus on the first paragraph where he says, I think they are doing unintentionally a lot of damage to football, no longer to Barca, to football. And with that, I 100% agree because, and not about the Negrita case alone, I think with everything that Madrid is doing, right? Every time they lose, it's the referee's fault. With Real Madrid TV, where every week they issue a video attacking whichever referee they get assigned. And that is very damaging to football for two reasons. A, they're clearly influencing the competition. With Real Madrid TV, they've been putting so much pressure on referees. The referees are scared to rule against them because they don't want to be perceived as being biased. And as such, they're, ruling in their favor, giving them penalties that there shouldn't be penalties, too afraid to show them red cards, letting Vinicius insult and mock referees with no repercussions, allowing the Real Madrid players to do whatever the fuck they want, punch others, insult others, fight with others with no repercussions. And that is incredibly damaging. But also, it's damaging to football because this whole constant, if we lose, it's corrupt. The sport is corrupt. It's making football lose its complete legitimacy, right? Because now everything is just corrupt. And if it's corrupt, what these idiots don't realize, and by the way, the same goes to Barcelona fans, what these idiots don't realize when they accuse the league of being bought and sold is that they're also losing the legitimacy of their own achievements. Because if these referees are truly fully corrupt, where you can just pay them off and they're rule in your favor, that means that the La Liga is for sale. These refs are for sale. And whoever won La Liga that season was the highest bidder. And that includes Real Madrid's trophies. So if Barcelona's trophies are all corrupt and they were all bought, that means that Real Madrid's trophies are also all corrupt, all bought. Because you can't have the cake and eat it too. It's either everything's corrupt or none of it is corrupt. You can't have it both ways. It's like Penaldo idiots, Penaldo fans who are like, if Penaldo wins, amazing, perfect. But if he loses, all of a sudden it's corrupt. The World Cup is great, but when Messi wins it, all of a sudden it's corrupt. The Ballon d'Or, it's great when Penaldo wins it, but when Messi wins it, it's corrupt. You can't have it both ways. It's either all corrupt, including when Madrid won it and when Barca won it, or none of it is corrupt. And again, this not only applies to Madrid fans, this also applies to some Barca fans. Because what you don't realize in doing this, it's that you're also attacking the legitimacy of what Barcelona won when you're saying that what Madrid won was purely bought. So think about the things that you say because it has repercussion. And here, I agree with Gaspart, where Madrid are damaging football, whether influencing the competition with their videos or making, La Liga and football completely lose its legitimacy with this constant accusation of this is corrupt, this is corrupt, this is corrupt, just because things don't go their own way. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say. God bless you, Joan Gaspart. You always entertain me with your retarded statements. But let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Victor Font firing shots at Deco. He came out swinging today. Pop, 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 pop. Fuck. It was like that Tupac song, when he starts out, that's why I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker. That was Victor Font today. But all right, let's see what everyone's saying. Blah, blah, blah. Where did it leave off? Here we go. JYD Groove says, good morning from Nigeria. I had to wake up to follow your live. So good to join. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Good morning to you too. Obviously, it's night here, but good morning nonetheless. I hope you have a brilliant and amazing day. And Sanjog with the donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for your donation and for supporting the channel. But Sanjog says 35 mil for Lookman is such a steal for Atletico. He was perfect for the position we were looking for. Deco, man. Hold on to that thought. Let's hold on to that thought. Because I want to see how Lookman does for the rest of the season. Don't get me wrong, he shined against Real Betis. He scored a goal. He provided an assist. He was doing some crazy shit with the ball. But like I said yesterday, in all fairness, Real Betis are patheticville. I mean, they are so bad this season. They conceded 5 against Madrid. I mean, imagine how terrible you have to be to concede 5 against Real Madrid. So, let's wait. Hold on to that thought because I think Lookman is a great player. But so far, what I saw from him with Atalanta told me that he was suited for that level. I don't know if he's suited for the next level. Remember? Because there's a lot of players who shine in mid-tier clubs. Ferran Torres at Valencia looked like Ronaldo Nazario, okay? Goes to Manchester City, flops, comes to Barca, and, well, let's not talk. So, I'm not saying that's the case with Lookman. I'm saying I want to see more before I decide whether Lookman is someone destined to be great at big clubs or whether he's just, just another mid-tier star. Let's put it that way. Again, I'm not saying he is. I'm saying I want to see some more from him and decide. Of course, the match against Barcelona, that's going to be a great test. We're going to be able to see what he's able to do. So hold on to that thought. But nonetheless, thank you, my friend, for your donation. And thank you for always supporting the channel. Let's see what other comments are there. Let me see. Zach Herbert says, this is the best community on YouTube. Let's go. Whoa, indeed. I 100% agree with you, my friend. I think we do have the best YouTube community. I love my Barca News family. You guys are absolutely amazing. Wait a minute. How did my dog's hair get on my mic? Anyways, but I agree with you, my friend. And El Pollito says, Lamine, give his penalty to Rafinha. How's that selfish? I agree. I wouldn't accuse Lamine being selfish in these last matches. But anyways. Klaus, who says, big up, Bo. What's up, Klaus? If you guys don't know, Klaus is an OG of the channel. He's been here since almost like day one. It's really good to see you, Klaus. Thank you for joining the live. I hadn't seen you in a while, so it's always good to see you back. Thank you, my friend, for joining, and thank you for always being there for the channel since, well, the early days. Carlos says it is true that Perez is going for Pedri. They are just embarrassing. I don't think so. I saw that news make the rounds on social media. I don't think they are. At most, it was probably Florentino Perez was like, wow, he's a great player. I would love to have him. Doesn't mean that they're going to try to sign him. I mean, anybody would love to have Pedri. It's kind of like, I'm sure Laporta, Deco, and Flick would love to have Mbappe. Does that mean that come the summer, Barcelona's going to go and try to sign Mbappe and convince him to come to Barca? No. I saw the news. I thought it was stupid. It's a slow news day, so I imagine that's what it was. Worst case scenario, there's absolutely no truth to this, and these people just ran with it because they wanted a story. Best case scenario, Florentino was probably like, yo, I would love to have Pedri on my team. And then the reporters ran with that and were like, oh, Florentino's about to sign Pedri. And it's like, yo, just because someone would love to have a player on their team doesn't mean that all of a sudden they're going to go and actively try to sign them, because anybody in the world would love to have Pedri on their team. Doesn't mean that they're all going to come knocking come summer. So, no, I don't think so. Lifestyle says, hi, Mo. I tend to understand why Barca wants to keep Ferran and Lewa again simply because the goals are spread across the entire squad, which is far better than Madrid dependency on Mbappe. Well, Barcelona are not trying to keep Lewa, right? Come the summer, let's say it's going to be Avui Lewa. Well, that's not really how you say bye in Polish, but I said Avui because he played in Germany so long. Wait, how do you say, let's see. Goodbye in Polish. It's, do widzenia. So it's going to be do widzenia, Lewandowski. As far as Ferran, they are looking to renew him. But I imagine it's going to be more in a rotational role. Sign a striker, a world-class striker, and have like Ferran kind of rotate with that person. That's what I'm guessing is going to be the plan. Assuming, of course, that we can afford a world-class striker. El Pollito says, is Gaspart president before Laporta's first term? Yes, it was Gaspart, then Laporta, terrible president. Again, up to the point of Bartomeu, he was probably the worst president in history of Barcelona. And then came Bartomeu and said, hold my beer, bro. I got this. I'm going to do a worse job. It's MXSN says, hi, Mo. Good morning from Ireland. Let's go. I think you're the first person. No. I'm so sorry. McBarca, I apologize, my friend. You're also from Ireland. I almost said you're the first, that it's MXSN was the first person from Ireland. But no. McBarca is also Irish. It says, hi, Mo. Good morning from Ireland. Thank you for giving us Barca news. What did you think about Dro being dropped to under 21 team at PSG? It's like I said a few moments ago, so I'll say it quickly because I don't want to be too repetitive. Like I said, it's a mistake because, look, when you are a academy player at a club, you are their project. They're going to take their time with you. They're going to make a plan for you to grow, develop, and they're going to wait for you to grow and develop. Once another team comes and pays a transfer fee for you, they're no longer going to wait because now they made money. Now they spent money, right? Now you're an investment. Now they have a stake in your success. So they're no longer going to wait. They're no longer going to be like, oh, take your time, grow and develop. No. Now you need to perform because I just paid for you. What do you think? I'm just going to give money away? So things change, expectations change, and that's why a lot of academy players end up flopping, not because they're not talented enough, but because all of a sudden the pressure and the expectation changes. It goes from like, oh, you're talented with a lot of potential, take your time, to all of a sudden, I need you to perform now. I don't care how much potential you have. You better unlock it now. I'm not going to wait for you 2-3 years for you to unlock it because I already paid money for you. So it changes. It's sad, but that's the world of football, right? It's a business. And if someone comes and pays 10 million euros for you, they're not going to be as patient. But anyways, let's get back to the news and let's talk about Victor Font because Victor Font came out with a diss track. He was like, waka, 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 listen up, bitch. And has blasted Deco. Now, during an interview, Victor Font was asked, would he keep Deco? And this is what he had to say. Hansi Flick will be my coach, but Deco will not be my sporting director. In other words, if Font wins, Deco's getting the boot. We will make the structure fit better with Hansi Flick. We will ensure there isn't a figure like Alejandro Echevarria who holds no official position yet exerts influence. Deco is trusted appointment of Laporta and Alejandro Echevarria. Flick has said that what he wants is stability. Obviously, he's happy with Laporta because he brought him in, but Pep stayed on with Sandro. What matters to a professional is stability. What Hansi doesn't want is for Iñigo Martinez to leave a week before the season starts because we need to reduce the wage bill. Poof, 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 poof. I gotta say, I agree with everything Font is saying here because Deco up to this point has been a pretty subpar sporting director. I think this winter transfer market, he really shined with all the signings that they made, like Juventus Leonstein and Hamza Abdel Karim and Patricio Pacifico. I think all that was due to João Amaral because remember, João Amaral actually has experience, right? He was the sporting director in Portugal. I can't remember the club that he came from, but he has many, many years of experience working in that world. And Deco signed him or brought him on the staff as his right-hand man. And all of a sudden, we see improvement in the signings. So I have a feeling that all these signings were mostly due to João Amaral's work. Actually, we know some of them are because it was João Amaral is the one who traveled to talk to to Juventus Leonstein. And he's the one who was in talks with Patricio Pacifico. I don't know who was in talks with Hamza Abdel Karim, but I know those two signings are for sure João Amaral's. But up to this point, before João Amaral, Deco has been pretty subpar. And the only reason Deco became a sporting director, not because of his amazing experience or because he has zero experience. Remember, he was an agent before that. And before that, he was a football player. But he had zero experience in the corporate structure world of football clubs. But the only reason he was brought on is for the same reason many of the people have been brought on lately by Laporta, because it's his buddy. Because unfortunately, Laporta has been running the club like it's his mom and pop pizza shop on the corner. I was like, hey, bro, you want a job? Let's go. Do you have experience? Oh, I don't give a shit. You're my buddy. Let's go. I got you. And that is one of the things that I've always criticized Joan Laporta. You know, I tend to give him credit for the good things that he does, like signing sponsorship deals. But in the bad things, like bringing Echevarria. Who the fuck is Echevarria? Nobody knows. He has no position in the club. He was not elected. He was not assigned that position. He was nothing. He was not appointed, but he's always there. And he makes decisions and he tells people what to do and what not to do, even though he has no position within the club. But why is Echevarria there? Because he's Laporta's friend. Because Laporta started out his term pretty good. He surrounded himself with very smart, capable people with plenty of experience. And those people together did an amazing job. The Spotify deal, the Nike deal, a lot of the great things that Barcelona did was because Laporta had an incredible team. But as Laporta continued to want to run the club in a presidential mode where he calls all the shots and fuck your opinion, a lot of people started having disagreements with him. And a lot of people started not liking how he was managing the club. And as a result, over 30 plus members of his board resigned. And that's when we start seeing Laporta, instead of replacing those positions with other qualified, experienced people, he instead started surrounding himself with his buddies, including Deco and Alejandro Echevarria. Now, Victor Font actually touched on this point about Laporta, running the club like it's his mom and pop pizza shop, by saying that he would change how the presidential model at the club, by saying members have to choose between a presidential model of running the club like in the 80s and 90s or a professional management model. For many years now, we've had the economic situation we're in, even during Bartomeo's era. We've now gone 5 transfer windows without being able to register a single player. We have 6 women players from the feminine squad whose renewals we still don't know if we'll be able to complete. This presidentialism forces us to look for easy money in the Congo or depend on tourists because they're not capable of unlocking the potential Barca has. Also agree with this point because, yes, Laporta does run the club like it's the 80s or 90s, where, again, he just wants to run everything, wants to call all the shots instead of running it more in a professional corporate manner. And how do you do that? You hire people who have the education, who have the knowledge, who have the experience to run different departments. And you let them run those different departments because they know how to run them. Because nobody can do everything, right? And instead, your job as a president becomes more of a supervisory role. This guy who's expert on women's football, let him run women's football because he knows what he's doing. This guy who's an expert on basketball, let him run the basketball department because he knows what he's doing. This guy who knows hockey, let him run the hockey department because he knows what he's doing. And I just supervise, make sure I make them report to, hey, how is your section doing? What do you need? What can be improved? Should we increase investment? That's your job as a president. But Laporta says like, I'm going to run the basketball, the feminine, and it's like, that doesn't work because no matter how smart Laporta might be or how experienced he might be, nobody can do it all. It takes a village. And that's why Laporta a lot of times fails to understand. And that's why so many positions have gone vacant, which he has not filled. And instead, he wants to run them himself. And instead, he just surrounds himself with his buddies who tell him what he wants to hear. And that's why we've seen so many blunders with the club. That's why the club is still not under the 1-1 rule, because we continuously spend more than we bring in. That's why we have to sell our assets like the VIP seats just so we can register Olmo and Victor. What's his last name? Oh, my God. I forgot his name. Because, again, Laporta is constantly improvising, is constantly running the club on a whim, which sometimes works, but a lot of times doesn't. Like when we signed with that crypto, that security company that turns out to be a total fluke, doesn't even exist, has no income, it's just registered in some island somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and turns out it's linked to, what's that guy, that loser people like to follow for advice on how to be a man, bald guy, what's his name? Anyways. It'll come to me. Whatever. Anyways, but yeah, those are Victor Font's statements. Let me know what you guys think. Of course, I think Laporta's still going to win. Pau Victor, the rebel pilot, Pau Victor. Thank you. I couldn't remember Pau Victor. But no, I'm not saying that Pau Victor is the loser who other losers follow to for advice on how to. Andrew Tate. Thank you, El Pollito. Andrew Tate. It turns out that company was owned by Andrew Tate. It had no history, it has no income, no nothing. It's just like a shell corporation that Laporta signed a deal with to handle the club's security. What's called cybersecurity. It's like, come on, bro. We got to do a better job. But anyways, those are the statements. Let me know what you guys think. Let's do a few more comments, and then we are going to talk about Marcus Rashford. Let's see. Where did we leave off? My man Cordell says, what's up, Mo? Watching from Dominica. Oh, you're in Dominica? Let's go. That's awesome, man. Have fun. I hope you're out there on vacation, not working. Enjoy. That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm over here freezing my butt. It's gonna be in Celsius, since most people are that watch me are in the Celsius world. It's gonna be -16 Celsius this weekend. That's gonna be fun, huh? So enjoy, my friend. Enjoy, and I'll see you in March. I'll see you in which, by the way, I gotta buy my flight. My goodness, I'm a last minute guy. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. P4K Cheba says, so I saw we want to offer Lewa a contract extension and then make Ferran our main man. No way. I don't think that's true. I think Lewy's leaving. Like I said, on slow news days, shit happens. Like that news that was going around that Florentino wants to sign Pedri. Zeke Travel says we should buy Jean Vergili over Rashford, in my opinion, and that was we will have a better succession when Coutinho gets older. Rashford is too costly for what he offers. We'll talk about Rashford in the next segment, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. Blaurana X says, yes, Mo, I agree 90% of the time. He's contributing more or less. It's 10% where he does lose the ball and puts the team in critical moments. All I'm saying, in big games, there will be no mercy. Well, here's the thing. Players like that, they have to be selfish in those situations. How else do you think Lamine gets to dribble past 2, 3, 4 defenders? It's not by not being selfish. It's by being selfish. Like players who are blessed with that skill, players like Messi, they have to be selfish, because if they weren't, then they wouldn't be able to dribble 3, 4 players, because that act in itself is a selfish act. Taking on 3, 4 defenders, that's a selfish act because you could always pass it. And players like that need to be selfish to create the chances that they create, because by being selfish is that they decide to dribble past 3, 4 players, and by doing that is that they set up their teammate to just push the ball in. So they need to be selfish. Let me see. Daniel Konaka says, Mo, I think we would be better off with Vergili than Rashford, looking at the amount of money Man U wants for Rashford. Again, we'll talk about Rashford. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But Lifestyle Hack says, hi, Mo, what do you think of Rashford? I feel he doesn't put effort like others. Again, we'll talk about him in a little bit. P4K Cheva says, Vitor Roque has become the player with the highest market value in South American football. We have 20% share of any future sale. Yeah, I know. That's exciting. If he makes it back to Europe and he gets sold for a big amount, and as we know, these Brazilian clubs, they love to gouge other clubs. You know, it's like every player that comes out, oh, we know, on 60 million euros. And it's like, bro, he's a 30-year-old baby. He's a 3-year-old baby. What the fuck you talking about? 60 billion. And then, you know, clubs are like, okay, I'll pay 60 million for a 3-year-old baby. It's crazy. So, hey, if Palmeiras want to gouge someone and someone's out there is willing to pay high bucks for Vitor Roque, fuck it, let's go. We get 20%. I'm all for it. Edward says, what's up, Mo? My question is, what do you think of the criticism Lamine doping what every forward does? Lewy, when the ball does not come to them, I've seen it 1,000 times. Lewy's done too. The criticism of Lamine doping what every forward does. Oh, doing? Wait. Lamine doing what every forward does, even Lewy when the ball does not come to them. I don't know if I understand the question. I thought it was a doping question, but I don't think it's a doping question. Anyways, if you can clarify, I will gladly reread your comment and address it, but I'm not sure I'm understanding what the question is. And with that, let's do the last bit of news, and then we'll do more comments. But let's talk about Marcus Rashford, because it's been revealed that Deco has reached out to... Oh, why did this like get so massively huge? There we go. Isn't that better? That's better. But it's been revealed that Deco has reached out to Marcus Rashford's agent in order to continue discussing the signing of the player. Now, as I mentioned several weeks ago, Barcelona are planning to sign Marcus Rashford, but only if the price is right. Why is that? Because they believe that Rashford is a good market opportunity. However, they don't want to pay the 30 million euros, which is stipulated in his contract. That's the option to buy. It's worth 30 million euros. So under the right circumstances, if Manchester United agreed to lower that fee, Barcelona would be willing to sign him. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit difficult because, of course, we know Barcelona's financial situation. So as a result, it's been revealed that Deco has reached out to Rashford's agent for a second time in order to continue discussions to see what kind of plan they can come up with to not only make the signing happen, but also to do it for a lower price. Now, many of you have asked me a few seconds ago, what do I think? Here's the thing. as far as skill, as far as talent, like on paper, 30 million for Rashford is nothing, right? Because we're talking about a world-class player, an incredibly talented player. I mean, he has pace, he has speed, he has strength, he has an incredible shot. He has dribbling, maybe not as good as someone as Lamine, but he has all these qualities that world-class winger have. Plus, he has the experience. Of course, he's played every competition imaginable, including the World Cup with England. So on paper, and given the attributes and skills and talent of Rashford, 30 million is nothing, right? Someone with the same amount of skill and amount of experience as Rashford would be fetching for maybe 80 to 120 million euros. So 30 million for Rashford is nothing. But there's a difference between what's on paper as opposed to real world application, because this is where we get into a big problem. And it's real world application. Because as we've seen, Rashford, unfortunately, despite his talent, despite his skill, despite his experience, is a pretty inconsistent player. And no matter how skilled you are, if you're inconsistent, that becomes a problem. Can you imagine if Messi only performed one every, I don't know, 5 or 10 matches? He wouldn't be considered the greatest ever, even if he still had the same amount of skill and everything, right? What made Messi the greatest ever is not only his skill, but the fact that he could perform match after match after match after match for like 20 years or 15 years. And that's where the 30 million becomes for me a question mark, because I haven't seen Rashford perform consistently enough to justify the 30 mil, right? It's kind of like Joao Felix. On paper, his talent, I mean, he was one of the most talented players in Europe. So if you tell me, oh, we're going to sign Joao Felix for 30 mil, I'll be like, that's nothing. But then you would see him perform, and he was so inconsistent, and now you're like, okay, actually, that's a lot. Anyways, that's my opinion. I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about signing Rashford? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section once this ends. All right, that was all the news. Let's do a few more comments, and then I'm ending this. I do have to be done by 8:55, the latest. But let's see. Blaurana X says, word around the block, Birmingham may be replaced for Morgan Rogers for the World Cup. Honestly, Birmingham needs a humbling, my friend. He really does. But it shouldn't come from the English national team. It should come from Real Madrid. Because the guy has, thinks he owns that place. And that's why he is, where he doesn't listen to his coaches, doesn't even bother showing up to the tactical meetings. What a shame. Dima says, I'm not shocked if we can get Rafael Bellinho in the future because of Joao Amaral and Andy Barra works, not because of Deco. Maybe. Solomon says, hi Mo, it seemed like my boy De Jong is at highest level after Eric almost took his position in the team. I love the way De Jong influenced the game now. 100% agree with you, my friend. I've been really enjoying seeing Frankie De Jong recently. Against Elche, he was brilliant. Against, what are they called? Albacete, he was brilliant. Let's hope he can maintain that, because this is not the first time, right? We all know that De Jong is an incredibly talented and skilled midfielder. We've seen him put out amazing performances before. The problem has been his consistency, right? Where, yeah, he does that for a while, and then again, he reverts back to not being that great. So let's hope this time is different and that he can maintain that level, because we're going to need it. Also, I'm curious to see how he's going to do now against bigger teams, right? Because he's been doing great lately, but against whom? Real Sociedad, Albacete, Elche. I want to see him do that against Atletico Madrid, against Real Madrid, against Bayern Munich. I want to see that. Edward says, come on, Mo, if you don't have the money, you have to downsize, not like Musk, but you still need people you can trust. Wait, what are we talking about? Downsize. What did I say that we talk about downsize? There's a problem about being ADHD is you say stuff and then you completely forgot what you said. So then when someone reacts to something you had previously said, I'm like, ah. So that's not... Sorry, my friend. Sorry. This is the brain I was blessed with, a very chaotic one. But what did I say? It has to do with downsizing. I don't know. Anyways, if you can remind me, that'd be amazing. But thank you, my friend, for your comment. And Night Game says, damn, negative 16 warmer for me. 30 Fahrenheit. How much is 30 Fahrenheit in Celsius? Let's see. 30 Fahrenheit to Celsius. So that's -1. So you're going to be -1. Yeah, it's going to be -16 here, man. It's crazy. It's going to snow all night. And the crazy thing is the snow hasn't melted from the previous 2 storms. So it's just going to add to it. Let's see. JYD Grove says, I see how Flick was able to turn his players around in terms of performance, but why hasn't he worked on Rashford? Drop it back to assist with the recovery. Maybe because Rashford hasn't been around for too long. Maybe. I don't know. But I do think Rashford has improved a little bit when it comes to dropping and helping the defense. Not as much, but a little bit. But yeah. Edward says, sorry, man, doing what all forwards do, throwing their arms up in consternation, no doping. Oh, I'm done. Look, it's Lamine Yamal, man. If Lamine Yamal sneezes, people are going to criticize him. Like, oh, man, I can't believe this guy sneezes. What the fuck is wrong with him? You know, it's just, people are stupid. People are jealous. They're hateful. And, you know, when someone's doing great, they're always going to find something to criticize. Dorian says, hey, Mo, can you say we are not paying $70 million for Luis Diaz just for... We are not paying $70 million for Luis Diaz. By the way, I said that a million times and people kept telling, I can't believe Barcelona. And I'm like, oh my God, we're not. And thankfully, you know, that's exactly what happened. Can you imagine how stupid would I looked at if like, breaking news, Barcelona signed Luis Diaz? I'm like, sorry guys. I would have looked pretty stupid had that happened. Raul says, hi Mo, it's been a while. It's good to catch up with you today. Keep up the good work. God bless you. Thank you, my friend. God bless you. God bless all my Barca News family. And Carlos says he was talking about Laporta surrounding himself with people he could trust. Oh, equals downsizing. No, that doesn't equal downsizing. That equals nepotism. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word. Randomized says, I feel Barca is league ready, but Champions League, we ain't there yet. Your thoughts? I agree, but this is why, when I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm very glad that we got Atletico Madrid, because not only is going to be a more entertaining semifinal by going against someone like Atletico Madrid versus Athletic Club or Real Sociedad, but also because this is going to be a good test right before the knockout stages. Let's see where we at. So... And Barca Mama says it's going to be in the 70s in Kansas on Monday, 50s and 60s this weekend. Oh my God, I'm jealous. Can I crash over? Can I come visit you? Because it's gonna be crazy. Let me see. All right, let's do one last one and then we'll end this because I gotta go. Valeriano, I was gonna say Valverde. Valeriano says, Mo, Hamza Abdel Karim impressive. Barca Athletic. I love it. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. If you haven't hit the like button yet, make sure you do. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the hell are you waiting for? Make sure you do. And well, drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything we talked about today. I always love to read your guys' comments. Tomorrow, the watch along, where I'll be there. Hopefully, you guys will join me to watch Barcelona defeat Mallorca. That is all. I will see you guys later. And as always, peace, guys.